He got a message from his girlfriend, who says that she cannot come yet today. The main character accepted that, saying, "Good luck with your club practices." He, who was sitting on a train, thinks, "It was supposed to be our special birthday date." This is Ono Eiji. His childhood friend, Amada Miyuki, became his girlfriend after he confessed to her last Christmas. She's like an angel, an idol I always looked up to and admired. If we weren't childhood friends, I possibly couldn't even talk to her properly, let alone date her. It's been half a year, and because I've been too hesitant, we still haven't even kissed. I never imagined she'd blow off our first date as a couple. I even went all out for today. As he reached his station and looked towards somewhere, thinking, this place is the movie theater I was supposed to go to with Miyuki, he started imagining things about how she and he would hold hands, this and that. As he got flustered, thinking, what am I even daydreaming about? He was walking in a straight line and reached somewhere. He thinks, wait a second, this area, this is the Love Hotel district. Thinking about it, he got totally flustered, imagining things like his girlfriend and him both in the hotel together with their flustered expressions. But he thinks, God, I'm such an idiot. Guess I'll head back. He heard someone's noise from behind, and as he turned around, he found out that his girlfriend, Miyuki, was with another boy. She was totally terrified, seeing the main character taking his name. The main character asked, "Why are you here?" She also had the same question. As he tried to get her hand, we see someone coming toward him, and with a swish of a punch, this blonde guy punches him in the face. The main character, who got pushed back a bit, as the man says, "What the hell do you think you are doing to my girl?" The main character says to him, "What are you talking about? She's the one who cheated." The blondie says, What? Are you some kind of stalker? Hey, Miyuki, say something to him too, like how you're only dating him because you're childhood friends, or how he is boring, or how his sweaty hands felt when he tried to hold you." The main character was totally depressed, seeing this. Taking her name as the blondie, says, "You always say that kind of stuff when we are in bed together, right?" The main character clenches his fist, thinking, just now, what did he say? The blondie says to Miyuki, "What's wrong? If you really like him that much, I don't mind ending it here. Choose. Either break up with me or break up with him." She was trembling and cried, blabbering out, saying, "No, don't throw me away. If you leave me, I won't be able to go on living." The main character heard all of this as the blondie pets her on her head. He smirks toward the main character with his English smile and said to Miyuki, "As long as you understand, that's enough." He then said to her, "Now say it clearly out loud. Who is this guy?" She takes his name and says, "He was my childhood friend, but now he is clingy like a stalker, a horrible, abusive boyfriend." She says that with a straight face. The main character tried to take her name as he couldn't understand what was happening. The blondie puts more fuel on the fire, saying, "Now tell him properly, tell this delusional stalker guy." She says, "I am sorry," taking his name, saying, I can't be with you anymore. Don't talk to me at school either." From that day on, my happy, everyday life began to fall apart piece by piece. At the restaurant named Tijin, Ono, the main character, opens the door and comes in. Someone says, "Oh, welcome back. Oh my, you are home early." The main character says nothing as the man asked, "Did you skip lunch? Want me to make you something?" The main character thanks him, saying, "I am fine." The woman was quite worried about him. After that, I ended up just staying in bed from the shock. All I could do was wait for the time to pass. The woman asked him countless times, "You are not eating, yeah?" And then, over and over and over again, he was like a shut-in in a house. I kept having the same kind of nightmares. The nightmare where his beloved was taken away, who was saying, "Seriously, that guy is so disgusting, you know? Just because we were childhood friends, he misunderstood and got all clingy. Forget that creep already. Just focus on me." As both of them kissed in his nightmare, the main character thinks to himself, "Stop, please just stop already." As he wakes up from that nightmare, he had become so afraid even of falling asleep. As he washes his face and makes his way to his school, he was like a dead man. Someone clings to him from behind as the man says, "Anything new with Amada-san?" This was his friend. The main character couldn't say anything as he looked toward her from a distance. He remembers his childhood memories. Is there someone you like? No. What's with this sudden question? She replied. I mean, you never talk about that stuff. Even Muku doesn't talk about that stuff, right? Should I just become your bride then? This was his past memories, her laughing and joking about him. He says, cut that out. Oh, you totally look serious. In the school, he tried to approach her one more time. As she looked behind, she took his name, but then some other girl arrived. That other girl says, don't get involved with me anymore, you abusive creep. The main character was shocked as the other girl pulled Miyuki away, saying, let's go. The girl screamed at him, saying, if you keep stalking her, I won't let you get away. She even says to the cheating ditch, you have to ignore stalkers like that properly. The main character realized everything at his home. He was under the bed and then woke up with the notifications. Unknown accounts are giving him threats, as well as calling him a disgusting person or abusive comeback. His mailbox was filled with this kind of nonsensical chatter. Everyone was calling him a creep, saying to him to die, abusive guy, cheater, and whatnot. He was so distressed, saying, what the hell? I didn't even do anything. He shook off the phone and threw it on the ground. Do you realize what happened? Bad rumors around him were spread, most probably by the blondie and the girl. The next day, when he arrived at his classroom, he thinks, it's fine, just act like it's a normal day. As he opened the door and people were chattering to each other, he sat at a desk, but when he heard what they were calling him, an abusive freak, the worst, get lost, seriously disgusting piece of trash, all of that, his world was crumbling right in front of his eyes. He says, even though I didn't do anything, as the girl from before came and washes her hands on his table, saying, shut up, you criminal. There is no way Miyuki would lie. Even Komodo-senpai from the soccer club said he saw it. This was the blondie, by the way. The two school celebrities and a criminal like you. That girl says anyone would know who to believe. I don't want to hear it anymore. The main character thinks, why did it end up like this? People were laughing and eating together while he was isolated. He was losing his humanity bit by bit. He sees some chats in his club as they said to him that today's club was canceled, so you don't need to come. There was no one left in dual class that he could ever rely on. He thinks about how the club president said it was canceled, but maybe someone still is here. Maybe I could talk to someone, ask for help. But then he heard voices from inside, which shook his entire core, saying, you made sure to lie and tell that guy it was canceled, right? Yeah, I messaged him during lunch. I mean, it's scary to even see him, right? What should we do with the draft he drew? Actually, I already threw it out. The main character was at his breaking point, crying all over, thinking about their words. They said he doesn't even have talent, but still tried so hard on the manuscript. He is seriously pathetic. He stunk, held across a garbage bin, and when he saw what was inside, it was his own manuscript that he wrote with hard work. He could do, and he realized something, that he really doesn't have anyone else on his side anymore. He was all alone in the world that was ruled by his enemies. But then he thinks about, wait, maybe my homeroom teacher. She might be still in the classroom. And he thought maybe he could get help with her. But when he looks in his classroom, we see Miyuki as well as the other girl already talking to her, saying, Sensei, I think Mookie's been really troubled about something lately. Could you maybe talk to her about it sometime? Sure, but it's rare for Amada-san to be the one struggling. Did you get caught up in something because you were too kind? That lying childhood friend of his says, yes, something like that. Foo, it's fine. The main character ran from there as fast as he could, thinking, there is no other student as outstanding as you. I will definitely be on your side. These were the words of the homeroom class teacher that he heard. He clenches his fists as well as his teeth as he got to his locker and sees that there were more signs in his locker. If you snitch, I am going to the shop. LOL, D-U. The main character was horrified, seeing and reading all of this. He ran away from this school as fast as he could and arrived at home. His mother, the lady, says, welcome back. No club today. He says, I am home. Yes, no club. It got canceled last minute. She says, I see. You haven't been feeling well lately. Make sure to rest properly. The main character accepted while she, as well as his older brother, says even though mom and brother are tired too, kids don't need to worry about their parents. Yeah, just enjoy school. That's all you need to do. Since dad has died, mom never once cried in front of us. She always smiled, so we wouldn't worry. My older brother has been doing his best to protect the family and the shop. In that, the main character also made us smile, saying, "Yes, I will do my best. As long as I keep enduring this, then no one has to be unhappy." He thinks to himself. The scene then shifts to none other than Miyuki, who woke up thinking, "Since that day, I haven't been able to sleep. Why did things turn out like that? I keep thinking maybe that day was just a dream. If Kondo Senpai hasn't been there, if I had just clung to AG, crying, saying I didn't want to break up when I saw how he was being bullied, I almost started crying myself." But she thought to herself, "No, I can't cry. I'm the one who doesn't get to cry." It all started as just a silly love talk. I was happy, but our relationship wasn't progressing much, and introduced me to Kondo Senpai, who had tons of experience dating. I tried to turn it down, but Kondo Senpai was athletic and smart, the ace of the soccer team, handsome and gentlemanly, unlike the main character and me, who were each other's first love. He had more mature views of relationships. He seemed incredibly attractive to me. He says, "Come on, no guy wouldn't be into a cute girl like Miyuki-chan. If it were me, I would have made a move right away." Just kidding, lol. He invited her to grab something to eat and drink, and then says, "You are seriously attractive." Maybe he just is intimidated by that. Then came their first kiss in the Broadway of the Horizons. She and he kissed. Everything I was supposed to give to AG, it didn't take long before Kondo-san took it all away, and she went with it. They had the devil's tango for the first time. He says, "It's okay. If someone doesn't make a move on a girlfriend as attractive as you, that's his fault. You're not the one in the wrong, Miyuki. The one who failed as a man is him." She was hesitant of this, but then he says, "Come on, let's do it again." I think it was the perfect mark. But there was a part of me that felt good about the guilt, and once I became completely dependent, there was no turning back. Both of them were on bad as he says, "Hey, the 30th, let's hang out." She says, that's the day of the main character's birthday. But Kondo says to her, "Whatever, I will ask another girl if you don't come." She was quite distressed, saying, "I mean, I will come." He says, "You're always putting that AG guy first. It made me realize I barely exist in your world. I'm tired of chasing you. Let's just end this." She couldn't understand anything. "Wait, are you saying, wait just a second, this way we can both be happier?" And after that, she chose him over the main character. She thought that the main character would forgive her. She was relying on that. He was the one I had spent over 10 years with, my destined person. I thought I'd marry him, but the woman in me whispered otherwise. I feel like I needed to confess everything to everyone, that it was me who lied and cheated, but I'm terrified of losing everything. So this son of a bitch made the main character into the enemy of the whole school. The scene shifts to him and his locker, which is tainted with garbage and notes for him. Everyone talks about how he is a violent guy. He's so gross, and poor Amada-san. On the other hand, they talk about how Kondo Senpai, they heard he's so cool, and he drove the main character off her. I don't even want to talk to him anymore. The main character opens the door of his class, and then someone had stuck a note of his address, saying, "Abusive guy's house, get out," on the blackboard. He thinks to himself, "Because of me, my family, my dad's shop, why, just why?" He ran away from there in full mode as he faced the blondie, who poses, "How it feels, criminal boy." The main character says, "Why would you tell such a lie?" He gritted his teeth. The blondie says, "Because it's fun, losing your girl and everything else. It makes for a great show, doesn't it? It's your fault for thinking someone like you could get with Miyuki. You should just drop out already. I love breaking other people's lives." This was all a planned motive by the blondie guy. The main character dropped down to his knees, thinking, "Oh, it's hopeless now." He was brought to the infirmary, where the teacher says, "I will let your homeroom teacher know, just in case." He thanks her as he gets up. The main character had no shine in his eyes left. He thinks, "No one's going to help me." He realizes that even the teachers will believe the smart and capable Miyuki over someone like me. I can't talk to my parents or my brother. After being betrayed by Miyuki, my best friend and girlfriend, I'm completely done for. A year and a half until graduation. How am I supposed to survive like this? He even saw the text where his club member says, "After what you did to Amada, the other club members are too scared. I'm really sorry, but we'd like you to stop coming to the club. Saw the... Hearing these words, tears from his eyes started coming. It's not true, I didn't do it. He was crying his eyes out. He found out that everyone his friends had blocked him, and then he lay down once more in his bed. He cried out like he had never before. In another moment, he was out of the infirmary as he says to the teacher, "Sorry for the trouble. I am fine now. Is that so? Take care of yourself." He a dead man in a living body, a corpse who comes to the rooftop, thinking, "For now, I will get used to it until my heart gets numb to people's cruelty. If I just endure, die creep, the worst, pass me off, creeps, come tie, go to hell, filth, I will kill you, you piece of crap, get lost." He had the thought in his mind, maybe if I just jumped off the rooftop now, wouldn't that make everything much easier? As he reached toward the rooftop, he looked toward the front, and in front was none other than a blonde-haired beauty who looked toward him with her greenish eyes. At the end of hopelessness and despair, with no escape, that's when I met the girl who would change my fate forever. Facing her, the main character locked eyes with her. She asked, "Who are you?" The main character introduced himself as Ichi and said, "I'm a second-year student. I was skipping classes and wandering around the school, and I just happened to end up here." He thought to himself, "There's no way I can tell her I came to the roof to jump off." She smiled at his name and said, "Oh, Ono Senpai. We learned this girl is Ichino Jwai, a brilliant student who placed first in last year's entrance exam. With her kindness and beauty, she instantly became the school idol after enrolling. It seems a bunch of guys in her class have already confessed to her." She looked a bit down and asked, "So why show up now of all times?" The main character replied, "Sorry, you probably heard the rumors, right? Would you mind letting me have this spot? I just want to hide out here until lunch break." She responded firmly, "Absolutely not. This is my spot, so I won't give it up. Please disappear somewhere else, senpai." The main character argued, "Are you sure you know the rumors about me, don't you?" She replied, "I do, but it's still a no." This shocked the main character even more. He couldn't understand her stance. She sighed with relief as he looked at her. He tried asking again, and she said, "Yes, I know the rumors about you, but they're just rumors. I don't actually believe them myself." The main character's face went numb, hearing that at least someone was on his side. She explained, "Besides, romance is kind of like an illness. Why would you believe such a one-sided and vague story? Students these days overreact too much, lynching someone without knowing if it's true or false. That's just awful." The main character, with pain in his voice, asked, "Then do you believe in me?" She replied, "It's not about believing or not believing. Hurting someone based on biased, one-sided information is too big a risk." These words gave the main character a ray of hope that had been missing for days. She had a slight blush on her face. The main character said, "Thank you," genuinely feeling gratitude for the first time in a while. Blushing, she tried to play it cool, saying, "Why are you even thanking me?" But her blush was evident. The main character laughed, saying, "It's fine if you don't know." As they stood on the rooftop, raindrops began to fall, and the rain picked up pace. He said, "Anyway, let's go inside. You'll catch a cold." She replied, "Leave me alone." He couldn't understand and tried to speak, but she gritted her teeth and said, "You really don't get it, do you? The reason I'm here all alone is..." The main character cut her off, saying, "The reason?" She continued, "Getting soaked in the rain and catching a cold? There's no need for you to worry because there's no tomorrow for someone like me." The main character was shocked, especially since he had come to the roof to end his own life. He approached her, saying, "You should calm down." She retorted, "Please leave me alone. I want to die." Unable to stop himself, the main character grabbed her arm and said, "You should stop." She turned to face him as he continued, "Cut out. All right?" As she stumbled, they both fell against the fence bordering the rooftop. She cried out, "Why? Why are you trying to protect me? If this fence had been old and unstable, you would have..." The main character interrupted, "Shut up. You don't need a reason to save someone." She started to speak, but he cut her off again, saying, "If you're going to die, then at least go out with me for just a day. Let's skip school together." Blushing and flustered, she couldn't comprehend his words. She stammered, "Skip school? Do you even understand the situation you're in now?" The main character replied, I couldn't help it. I came here planning to die as well, but I never thought I'd end up stopping a junior from doing the same thing. Her eyes filled with tears, and perhaps she saw a way out. She dropped to her knees, smiled at the main character with tears streaming down her face, and said, Right. Looking at her, soaked and crying, the main character felt relieved. They laughed off the moment they shared. He said, Anyway, let's go inside. She replied, Okay. He stood up and handed her a handkerchief, saying, Here, use this. She tried to refuse, but he insisted, Just take it. She thanked him and stared at him. He said, Please don't stare at me too much. When he looked at her, he noticed her wet clothes clung to her, revealing her body. She caught him looking and said, You said that, but you still looked. That's sexual harassment. The main character turned away, embarrassed. She asked, So, what are we going to do now? You invited me to skip school, so you must have some kind of plan. He smiled and said, Of course I don't. I was desperate. I'm sorry. He laughed, adding, This really isn't the cool delinquent thing or something. She laughed at his words, saying, All right. The main character thought to himself, So she can smile like that too. He recalled classmates who confessed to her, saying she had a harsh attitude. In a flashback, she said, Why would you think you can date me, someone you don't even know? Do you have any idea what it feels like to be confessed to by a total stranger? All I feel is fear. Refusing everyone outright. You're only interested in my looks or status. That's the truth. The main character thought her response to his suggestion was unexpected, given how she reportedly shattered others' confessions. She looked at him and said, This is in return. Handing him a lunch package, he thanked her and said, Let's see. Do I have rice balls? Ugh, Ido. Here, Ichino Jwai, have one too. She thanked him and while eating said, This is delicious. This made the main character happy. She asked, This is tuna, right? Mixed with mayonnaise? He explained, Yeah, haven't you had it before? It's a classic rice ball filling at convenience stores. Tuna mayo. She said, Oh, all right. Everyone has been eating something this good. He replied, There are a ton of delicious things out there too. It'd be such a waste to die without even knowing this. His words moved her, and she looked at him, saying, This is really good. I'm getting really excited about this. He said, Then want to come over to my place? His words flustered her, as she misunderstood his intention. The scene shifted to the school exit, where they stood behind the cycle stand. She asked, But the front gate is locked, you know? How are we going to get out? He explained, You see that metal door to the side of the front entrance? We can unlock it from the inside, but once it closes, it automatically locks. You can't get in from the outside, but it's easy to exit from the inside. She gave him a look, saying, Why do you even know that? He thought, An honor student like you wouldn't understand, would you? He said, Once in a while, it's fine, all right? He grabbed her hand and said, Let's go. They look more like a couple than just students. Blushing, she asked, Why are you blushing? Let's go, she added. Is it really okay for us to hold hands when we just met? He didn't respond, and she continued, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't uncomfortable at all, but in plays or movies, it's normal, right? By the way, this is my first time holding hands with a guy, so take care of it. That's enough. I wasn't overthinking it. He thought to himself as they both said, Let's go. You're the one making me embarrassed right now. Someone yelled, Where the hell are you two going? And what the hell are you two doing? But they didn't look back, as if leaving their past behind and facing a new future. The girl asked her own soul a question. Why am I trying to skip school with someone I just met? She remembered her past and a voice telling her, I will protect you. So many people had said those words to her while confessing their feelings, but she didn't want to hear them precisely because they triggered her trauma. But Iono Senpai was different. He is such a good person that it makes me worry. But if I am with him, I might be able to escape this current hell. But this chapter isn't about him. This is about Kondo. This is the blonde-haired guy who stole the main character's girlfriend and also spread rumors about him. We learn that he is the man at the center of this world. His father is a city councilman. He got into a prestigious high school, one of the prefecture's top 3. He became the ace of his soccer team and pushed a weak team all the way to the national tournament. He was scouted by soccer teams from prestigious private universities. Since childhood, His eye was different from others. Just a little studying put him at the top. High education, tall height. Thanks to his soccer talent, he could be the center of any team. Naturally, he was popular since elementary school. Since his first girlfriend in 3rd grade, he has never been without a girl that he will never forget what happened in 8th grade. At the time, the class otaku and idol were dating. A childhood friend, couple who never doubted they would get married in the future, a disgustingly pure relationship in his eyes. So what he did was obvious. As expected, the girl easily fell for him, saying that the otaku was so gross and having him as a boyfriend was the greatest shame of her life. Looking toward her, he used to think, stupid women acting like tragic heroines. What destined partner? Absolutely hilarious. It was so funny that he recorded the girl's insults and played them for the otaku. That was a masterpiece. He observed the otaku crying, saying, "You promised to marry me, didn't you?" The moment his desire for conquest was satisfied felt incredibly crude. He smiled like a maniac. The girl said to the otaku, "Let's quickly break up. I'm going to be happy with him." But the blonde-haired man just thought, "You've gotten so tacky, haven't you?" Since then, he came to love stealing other men's women. Women who fell for his charm usually stopped studying, their grades went downhill, and they made enemies of old friends. She was such a stupid woman who couldn't understand even the most obvious things. He dumped her as soon as high school started. She begged, "Why? Why are you talking about breaking up? I threw everything away and chose you." But he just said, while tapping on his phone, "You know, I really hate loose women. I started to hate you. So let's break up." In the end, the former class idol went from truancy to a bad ending. Watching them while laughing was so good. Men and women ruining both their lives was so seriously funny as what he did was make his new target Miyuki, the main character's childhood friend and girlfriend. He held her hand and beat her so that he could then play a drama in front of his friends and everyone, framing the main character, Eiji, for it. He thought to himself, "That guy and Miyuki, how far will they fall? I'm looking forward to what will happen." Shivering in her class, Miyuki thought, "He hasn't come back since morning." People who gratified Eiji's desk were frantic. She looked toward the empty desk of the main character, thinking, "Don't tell me he quit school because of me." She remembered how she never thought that Kondo-senpai would spread such rumors. She thought to herself, "It's not bad. I don't know anything. Not bad." But then she saw the main character from her window. She was profanely happy, saying his name, but then she realized he was with a blonde-haired girl. She lost it and said, "Why? Who is that homewrecker?" This woman still thinks she has a say in it after cheating and ruining the main character's life. The scene shifts to Class 2B's homeroom teacher, Takanagi, who also saw him leave the school, thinking he really did something reckless. "I'm glad he's at least safe." Dozens of minutes ago, during this morning's homeroom, he said, "Well, today starts the 2nd semester." When he looked toward the class, he saw an empty desk. He thought, "Let me take attendance first." Then he got near the main character's desk and saw the things written on it. "I get lost, loser," things like that. When he glanced at it, he yelled at the class, saying, "Does anyone know what happened?" After the main character got there, he said he wasn't feeling well and went to the nurse's office. The teacher said, "I see. Then I'll go check on him. Everyone, line up in the gym first." Miyuki, who looked like hell, was noticed by the class teacher. When he got out of the class, someone was rushing toward him, calling him. This was none other than the school nurse, Mitsui. She sat profusely huffing and puffing, grasping for breath. "This is urgent. It's about the main character. He hasn't come back." The class teacher said, "No, I was just about to look for him." The school nurse said, "I'm so sorry. I should have stopped him, even by force. He seemed kind of strange." When she asked him if something had happened, he just got under his blanket and said he wasn't feeling well, saying, "Please let me rest." The nurse took it upon herself, saying, "I will search the school." The teacher said, "Thank you. The principal is at the all-school assembly. I will talk to the vice principal first." As I got to work, we see the vice principal saying, "I see. The problematic thing is that the principal is tied up with the assembly. Let's hold a strategic meeting right after school today. Teachers, Please ask the students in detail what happened. Understood. We see the homeroom teacher now in the class, strictly asking everyone, now then, all of you, you know what property damage is, right? All of them were set straight and were in quite a situation. The homeroom teacher said, you should understand by now. It's about the main character's desk. I don't know who did it yet, but from the writing and the written words and his condition, I can roughly imagine what happened. School desks are school property, public property paid for by taxes from your parents. Damaging, that is a proper crime. He looked toward Miyuki when he said that, who was shivering. The class teacher said, the culprit might say it was just a weak feeling and that AG is bad, but writing slanders on someone else's desk is not allowed by anyone in the school. After arrests have been made for death threats to celebrities, the same excuse won't get you. He went closer to them and said with a serious tone, this incident shouldn't be fooled by the word bullying. It's not child's mischief or pranks. It's a crime that can't be overlooked. I want you to remember that firmly. About 30 minutes earlier, Takalani gives a warning to the class about the bullying of our main character. An emergency meeting in the conference room was held. We see how the principal has arrived. He was quite late, but it looks like he ran here because of the sweat on his face. The vice principal with him also sat down. The principal, as he sat down, bowed his head, saying, first, thank you, Takanagi-sensei, for contacting us immediately. Nothing is more important to address than this bad news. The class's homeroom teacher of the main character says, no, this might be a failure in how I manage my class. Honestly, all I can do is reflect on it. He thinks to himself, feeling quite guilty. We see the grade chair, Awai, say, as teachers, there will always be things to reflect on, you know. But, Takanagi-sensei, I think you have done everything you could have done. There are plenty of people who try to hide it just to protect their reputation. We see the principal saying, Evi-sensei is quite right. For now, let's worry more about the present and future than the past that has already happened. Do we know how Ono-kun is doing after leaving early? We see the chairperson saying, Takanagi-sensei had already asked a few students, so I took the liberty to call his parents myself. I asked if he was okay, since he left a bit early feeling unwell. It seems that he has made it home quite safely. The principal says, that's good to hear. He nodded his head and says, then I'll be sharing the basic policies I discussed with the vice principal. First, let's prioritize. I will know if he ends up refusing to return to school or dropping out. Everything will be lost. We need to firmly support him. We see Takanagi-sensei also firmly support this statement, saying, yes. The scene shifts to someone texting on the phone. It was none other than the blondie, who was asking Sayaka that he will come over after his clubs. As soon as that was happening, we see two figures coming in from the door, taking his name, saying, Kondo-senpai, there is trouble. One of them says, actually, we were planning to punish Arno, so we graffitied his desk, but now Takanagi is calling a crime and starting an investigation on it. Hearing this, Kondo was unusually stoic as he thinks. That downer teacher is quick. Huh? I thought he was the type to cover up things. Well, whatever. Even if it gets big, my old man will deal with it anyway. He gave both of them blunt replies, saying, I see. Both of them had sweat on their faces as they say, isn't that a bit cold from you? We only did it for you, senpai. On which the blondie looked towards them, saying, when did I ever ask you idiots to do anything? Sweat and frustration were on their faces, but the most evident was fear. We see Kondo saying, I just shared my worries with you, that's all. You're the ones who spread it like a joke and even trash school property. Hearing this, one of the guys just says, no way, we just did what? But he got cut off as the blondie stood up, saying, then deny it with everything you've got. At least they don't have any hard evidence on you for now. If you don't, you're finished. We see that he said these things to them so that they become scared of the situation. And he thinks to himself, huh, 2 more slaves are finally acquired. We see the scene shift to the main character, as well as the beautiful girl who were drenched with sweat, sitting on a bench. He says, hey, are you okay? She says, yes, but keeping up with a guy running at full strength is quite tough. The main character thinks to himself, just being able to keep up at all is quite amazing for you. I heard you turn down every club that tried to recruit you. Sometimes when asked to help, You performed at the level of an ace. You must truly have both brains and brawn. He says, anyway, shall we continue? She says, but, senpai, making him stop in his tracks. She continues, saying, you tease me too much. Are you just hopeless at explanation, or are you doing it on purpose? She made quite a face saying this. The main character says, probably the former. She says, liar, as we see both of them continue on their path. It was none other than Kichijo. This was something that was owned by his family, as we have seen in the past part. As the main character entered, saying, I'm home. His mother says, oh, welcome back. You're early. He says, yeah, I wasn't feeling well, so I left early. She says, oh my. The main character continues, saying, my junior was also leaving early, so I invited her to lunch. Hearing this, his mother made a smug look that says, oh, skipping school? Not bad, huh? On the other hand, we get to know that she, the girl, was hearing all of this from the outside. The main character tells us about how his home is a family restaurant. His late dad was a chef. He trained at a famous hotel, saved money, fell in love with his mother, who worked the front desk, and together they opened this Western-style restaurant. Now, his brother, who graduated from culinary school, is the second-generation owner, while his mother handles accounting and waitress duties that we see his mother saying, all right, I'll get busy soon, so use the back break room. Lunch is on me. The main character says, thank you so much, as he opened the door for Ichinojo-san to enter. He says, don't worry. As she peeped in, we see her beauty and immaculate presence as she says, nice to meet you. I'm Ichinojo, Arno's junior. Senpai is always helping me. Sorry for the sudden visit today. Seeing her, his mother and brother were shocked. His brother couldn't help himself and came out of the kitchen to see her. His mother was flabbergasted, literally drooling, thinking, oh my, looking at her cute face. She says to her, oh my gosh, sorry, I never imagined that my boy would bring such a cute girl home. You really surprised me. As she opened the back door, she says, relax and eat whatever you like, okay? It's on me. The main character sat down as his mother says, just make yourself at home too, Ichinojo. Ichinojo also says, thank you very much. We see her looking at the menu, saying, got any recommendations? The main character says, you should go for this special lunch. The main dish is our signature omelet rice. Looking at it, she was literally drooling, her sparkling eyes saying, looks delicious. He got up and went to put in the order. As he returned, he says, sorry for the place. It's so plain. But she says, no, actually, it feels refreshing to me. Neither my family home nor my apartment has a Japanese-style room, so it feels like heaven. The main character tells her about how his mother and brother use this break room. Their hobbies kind of overflow through here. She looks towards it, saying, that's why it feels so warm. A house reflects its family's colors. I'm so jealous. Your family seems really close, senpai. We see her saying, my family used to be this warm as well, but we didn't know much about her background. As the scene shifts to her mother saying, here you go, thanks for the wait. Here's your special lunch. The food was immaculate. Looking towards it, she was drooling as the main character's mother says, after the meal, tea or coffee is on the house, so pick whichever you like. She happily says, tea, please, on which the main character's mother says, that's so nice. You prefer tea? I'm glad, me too. Looking at how they looked right now, it seemed more like daughter and mother-in-law. The main character, who looked towards them, thinks, figures, Mom sure is a tea lover. We see as his mother was leaving, she says, all right then, take your time. I'll bring the tea once it's ready and you're done eating. As she closed the door, both of them were alone. In front of them was the food. Both looked towards each other, nodded their heads, and joined their hands as we see them saying, thank you for the meal. They started eating. After biting the food, she says it's so good. The main character thinks, it's crazy. Just a while ago, we were both ready to die. She had quite the blush on her face eating this delicious food. Both of them laughed their way through the lunch. We see her saying, everything is really delicious, especially this tanjiro. It feels so comforting. The main character tells her about how is his late dad's special recipe. Simmered root vegetables and onions thoroughly in a big pot, making it hearty with lots of ingredients. Even with low-salt miso, the umami would condense into a rich, satisfying flavor. The main character thinks to himself, "Dad, he really was a father I could be proud of." Hearing about this, she apologized for touching on the main character's sensitive topic, but the main character said, "No, no. If anything, it feels like you're praising him, and that makes me quite happy." She was also happy, saying, "Good. He must have been such a kind father. Hearing from your words, this Tanjiro tells me that much." The main character says, "I'm glad you liked it. Yes, being able to eat such gentle food, I feel lucky." The main character says, "And it's all you can eat, right?" The environment gets a bit dark as her question rings. "Senpai, do I deserve to live?" This question weighed on her heart. I've been agonizing over it. Even coming up to the rooftop today, I couldn't decide. I thought I had finally gathered the resolve, but then I met you. You risked yourself to save me, and now I'm here eating such delicious food. That resolve is quite broken. It's wavering. I don't know what happened to you, Ichinojo, so I can only say something. It is possible you're right, but the main character stopped her in her tracks, saying, "You were the reason. Because you were there, I was saved." Hearing this, she had tears in her eyes. Her eyes were filled as the main character says, "I want you to live, Ichinojo, and I want to live as well with you." Hearing this, she couldn't help herself but cry like a little baby. Until now, she had carried herself with dignity, but now, seeing her break down in tears, I felt like I was finally seeing the true side of the girl called Ichinojo.